Hello, I'm Kyle, and I'm here to review the new Paramount Plus TV series Halo, and I will be reviewing episode 1 of Halo. Um, First off, I'll start with my basic relationship with the Halo franchise. So, when I was around 9 years old, I started playing Halo. I was only around 2 when Halo Combat Evolved was released, so I was a bit too young during the beginning of the Halo franchise, but I was around 9 when I felt like I was old enough, and my parents felt like I was old enough to play M-rated video games. And I played Halo, Halo 2, Halo 3, all in 1 year. And I became obsessed with them. I read the books, I read all the material regarding the lore, I bought all the action figures from McFarlane, and I became Halo obsessed for years and years. And there was a point where I actually probably knew more about Halo than I did about, say, other more popular franchises like Star Wars. Now, as time has gone on, and I also didn't get the next gen system, Xbox One, so I didn't end up playing Halo 5 Guardians or Halo Infinite. I kind of moved away from Halo. But I still have Halo a part of me, and I still really cherished all the games. So when I heard about this television series, I was very excited because Halo had been a property that they had wanted to adapt into live action for quite a while. And I remember back when I used to play the games, they would have even rumors of a Halo movie coming out, and all of these fascinating stories about whether they would make a TV show, and there was a Showtime TV show in the works. So it was a long development process for the show that finally culminated in this Halo Paramount television series. And I could not be happier at how it ended up, because as I was sitting down to watch episode 1, I was a little bit nervous because I was afraid that this show would be, in a sense, too much like a fan-made film, because there had been a lot of Halo fan-made content, a lot of Halo direct-to-video content over the last number of years, and there had actually been so many live-action versions of Halo done, whether it's like a TV movie or a fan-made film. We have started to get used to, we've gotten used to the whole idea of live-action Halo. Even going back to the Halo 3 trailers with Neil Blomkamp directing, like, we're kind of a little bit more familiar with live-action Halo than, we would think. And when I was watching the first episode, the first couple of minutes, I hate to say it, but it did feel like a fan-made film. Like, I felt like the characters and everything, it felt like it could have been fan-made. But then, once we really started to get into the episode and we get to see more of how the UNSC operates, that is where I started to really get hooked in the show. And I have to tell you, I don't know who designed the Spartans, like, outfits and suits in this show, but they were on point. Like, these are the Spartan suits that one could only dream of seeing in live action, and they had them. And the Master Chief suit, I think it was the first teaser trailer they released of this series, and they showed us a tease of the Master Chief suit, and I was like, whoa, this is something else, because Master Chief's suit has been portrayed so many times in, the Halo games, but somehow they were able to make it feel true to the games, and it's more designed, it's based off of the designs of Halo 2. It's not the Halo Combat Evolved armor, but it's the Halo 2 armor that they kind of just have updated through the years. And I think, like, it looks amazing. It really does. And I gotta give a shout out to Pablo Schreiber, who plays Master Chief. And we're so used to the Master Chief in the video games. If I'm correct, now don't take my word for it, but I think the voice actor is Robin Atkin Downes. But it's been a while since I've been in the Halo know-it-all phase. But, like, he's so iconic for being Chief, and you can hear his voice and automatically think of Master Chief. That, Pablo Schreiber, he doesn't quite sound like him, but he plays an incredible Master Chief. And I especially love his banter he has with this girl in episode 1 named Quan, and she's a brand new character. They really, I think, have a very interesting relationship going on, and I'm very curious to see how this will progress throughout the series. Other characters in the show we have are Dr. Catherine Halsey, who is one of the most iconic Halo characters, and she is great in this show. In the book, The Fall of Reach, her description is that she had, I think, brunette hair, and that's how I always pictured her, so the blonde hair is a little bit distracting, but I got used to it as the episode progressed. And I believe Jacob Keyes is in this episode. Miranda is, and her father is in it, but they never quite say it's Jacob Keyes, but it has to be. And he is an interesting choice to play Jacob Keyes. He's a big man. The actor playing Jacob Keyes is a big guy. And from the Halo games, I'm so used to Captain Keyes being, a little bit smaller than Master Chief. But then again, we haven't seen how they look against each other. But I really like the actor playing Captain Keyes. I really like all the actors in the show. They all do a phenomenal job. Miranda Keyes, I think, has a cool relationship with both Captain Keyes and what it looks like with Dr. Halsey. And I think one of my favorite parts of this show is this idea of this government, this planetary government that has all this control, and they send these Spartans into battle to stop the Covenant, which is the alien force. At the time when this show begins, it begins in 2552, which is in the Halo lore where the story kind of starts with the Covenant. And what happens is they just send them, and some of these off-world colonies, these outer world colonies, they are unaware of the power and the magnitude of the Spartans. The Spartans are essentially like Jedi in this world. And I think that's a very interesting way of painting them in this show. And they're kind of seen as non-human. They never take off their helmets, they never take off their armor, and they just keep on destroying whatever is in their path. And it reminded me a lot of Star Wars in the fact that, you have the UNSC, you have almost like the rebellion, figure in the Halo universe, but they do some dirty things. They're not a clean group. They have had to do things that they may not be proud of, but they have to win a war. They have to save the universe. So that is something that is very complex that I like. Now, if I want to go into some criticisms with the show, I will say the music, and I think I've been seeing this as a common criticism too, is that the music isn't too memorable in this series. And when you have Halo has one of the most iconic theme songs and some of the best music in a video game. And when you're making a TV show, I would hope that they would at least have music, if not the same, at least just as good. And the music so far, what I've heard, aside from near the end, it started to pick up. But the score felt very generic, and it didn't feel like anything special. And when you have shows like The Mandalorian and these science fiction type, programs that have amazing scores, I think it's imperative you have a show, it has to have a great score, because you look at some of the most iconic shows of all time, whether it be Game of Thrones or even Westworld has some of the best scores in television. And one of the, I think, popularity aspects of these shows is due to their score. So I hope that as the series progresses, the score improves. I'm trying to think of another criticism I had. Oh yes, so the other criticism I have is, like I said, how it kind of reminds me a bit of Star Wars in a sense. I think that the games themselves have been, you wouldn't call them, they're not like the most original thing that has ever come around in science fiction, but they do offer some really interesting things that we haven't seen before. The show, however, kind of, since we've seen so many things in science fiction, the show feels a little bit like I've seen this before. Now, I've only seen the first episode. I don't know how, say, the second episode progresses, but so far, you have some of the most obvious stereotypes in a science fiction thing. You have this maybe a corrupt government power, the guy that has to rebel against this corrupt government power, the soldier that has been told lies his whole life, the soldier that finds this other character that proves to that character that there's more than just meets the eye. They have to go against what they have always known. Like, these are similar tropes we've seen in so many other science fiction stories. So I'm just hoping that as the series progresses, maybe it gets a little different. But overall, I love the story. I love where it's headed. I love the actors. I love the depiction of the Spartans. And I'm very much looking forward to the next episode. So if you are a Halo fan, or if you're just into science fiction in general, I highly recommend watching Halo. And this was my episode 1 review for the series. So I hope that you enjoyed, and please like and subscribe. And I will give you my thoughts next week on episode 2. Thank you.